Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Cosmic Perspective. On today's episode, I speak with Angela, Angie Star Photo on Instagram, and we talk about a number of really cool things. Certainly a very psychedelic and woo conversation, but I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. We talk about chakras, astrology, meditation, mushrooms, spirituality, and we even talk about a unique experience that Angela had where she was in the hotel at the Vegas shooting, so when it happened, and so that was certainly a crazy story that I was not expecting to hear, and I think you guys will really appreciate this episode. You'll really like her vibe. She's super dope. Check out her art, and all the links will be in the description. So without further ado, here is the podcast. Thank you, Angela, for coming on the podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a long time coming because I've actually talked about you multiple times on this podcast where I talked about how cool I thought your art was and how I wanted to have you on. So it's cool that it came together, right? The universe brought us together here.
Yeah.
So for everybody who won't know, your name is Angela, and you make kind of multimedia art where it's a mix of photography, and then you said you use Illustrator and a couple other apps on your phone to kind of bring it all together.
Yeah.
And they're super dope. So your Instagram handle is?
At Angie Star Photo, all spelled regularly. Because a lot of people like to add 2 R's for some reason.
And you're like,
no, just, regular. No. And it's actually because my middle name actually is Star in Spanish.
Estrella. Sí.
Yeah. And so at Angie Star Photo, I do all types of photography really, but the stuff that I like to exhibit is definitely my mixed media stuff, and I like kind of putting a spin on like skylines and adding some cosmic perspective.
Exactly, hence the plug. But yeah, that was what drew me to it, and in fact I'm still debating buying one of those metal prints because I really want one.
And printing it on metal specifically is what really enhances it, I think. Like,
it does.
It really changes the game. Because I have tried printing it on canvas, and it's not the same. It looks more like a painting, which is cool.
Which is nice. But it doesn't have that same effect with that metallic shine where it looks like, I've compared it to like a Pokemon holographic card. Like it has like that cool kind of like shine to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, super dope. So what was the inspiration? Like what got you into doing that in the first place? How did you even think, oh, I'm going to throw some stars behind this shit?
Well, so combination of things. One, since my middle name is Estrella, I've always kind of been just like really into like stars and astronomy and astrology and everything in between. And like I was totally that type of little girl that had the glow in the dark stars.
Yep.
If it was still
on the
like
ceiling.
If I wouldn't look like a crazy chick, I would totally still have it, but that's another story.
Yo, I thought about buying some for the studio. So you're not crazy.
Okay, cool. But yeah, so I've always just been like really interested in that. And I really like architecture on the other hand. So I take a lot of architecture photography. It's how I got into photography. I would just kind of roam around the city taking pictures by myself. And then it just kind of seemed no-brainer to put in between. I went on a couple of hikes, one in Nevada and another in Colorado, where I got to see the stars, just the sky on like a whole other level. And I'm like, man, like that'd be so cool if we had this kind of like
you don't get that
here.
In the city. No,
the light
too much light pollution.
Yeah, but I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna create it because imagine how beautiful the city would be. And so I started creating my own little things, and then with a couple of apps I started moving them around, making them a little trippier. A
little bit of psychedelic.
And like honestly, I don't know, it's like a thing with artists, but like I really started doing it like either in the winter or when I'm in like really low points in my life where I'm just like in my own head, and I'm like, you know what, I need to just create my own little world. And I started creating my own little worlds in like really dark places inside of myself, and also in a cool way in my art.
No, it's a cool way to kind of like get out of whatever your little bubble that you're in and just lose yourself in the creation. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and we were talking about how like creating is like one of the most important things in your life. It's like creating anything. It doesn't have to be art. Like not everybody's an artist, but like just creating something is what gets you into that state of pure infinity. Like that's what taps you into the creator energy, or whatever you want to call it.
That's when you add the spiritual aspect to it, because that's like a whole other thing that is definitely included in my art. Yeah, I actually just recently I was watching. Do you know Elizabeth Gilbert? She wrote the books Eat, Pray, Love.
Oh, okay. Well, I know the book. I don't know her, but okay.
Well, she has a cool TED Talks where she talks about being a creative, and she kind of goes into it and how like a lot of artists, like a lot of times, even throughout history, are known to be kind of crazy and or just bit. You know, have like that, a little bit, you know. But yeah, and a lot of times artists actually lose their mind. In their creation, which is, you know, interesting. So she went into history and started looking like where are the earliest artists and how were they treated and how were they looked amongst. And in Roman era, she found out in the Greek area, she said that she found the artists were called geniuses in that culture, but in them it's not the same genius as we know it. It was a spiritual, like a divine source. And that so artists were able to tap into their genius, which is a divine energy,
because it's outside of yourself. It's not just coming from within. It's
so
actually
and in that culture, and really up until the Renaissance era, artists were looked at as like these divine creatures of creation that just, where are they channeling it? It comes from source, you know?
And if you ask any artist who really got lost in something, like when they really get into kind of like the flow state, they usually say like, I don't know where that came from. It just happened.
It's true. It's true. I like to sketch and I paint, you know, and some of my best stuff comes from like either just smoking a lot of weed and just
tripping out
and just going in on it, not really having like anything in mind, just kind of just letting myself go in that realm, and that's some of my best stuff comes out that way. You know?
No, for sure. I think that's where the best stuff comes out, period. It's just like losing yourself. You have to lose that sense of self, because that self-editor, that guy wants to shut you up, or in this case that girl. Like, hey, this isn't good enough, this is bad, you know, and just like trying to like shit you down, and you're like, no man, just let me do my thing.
So there's definitely a strong spiritual aspect in it. And lately when I've been posting certain things, I really this year got into like my chakras and cleansing my chakras and illuminating them, and I try to incorporate a lot of those chakras into like my work, my Photoshop. So like say I've been feeling like my solar plexus is really shining, I would do like a real cool manipulation of a sunset of some way. Or, you know, if it's something in my heart, I'll maybe add some like green to like the galaxy kind of stuff, or maybe put the tone a little bit green. Like I really consider my inner being.
You're good. No, that's dope. So can you explain to people who don't understand anything about chakras, what is the general concept of your chakras, and then what specifically can you do to cleanse them?
Yeah. So chakras are energy points in your body. So there's 7 major energy points in your body. I don't know. Should I list them out? So,
sure.
Okay. Well, there's the root chakra.
Because I don't really know that much about chakras.
Yeah.
But I know of them, but I'm not super into that. But I am into meditation, and I am into spiritual shit.
It all goes in together. Really, there's a lot more chakras, but the 7 main energy points are like your root chakra, which is at the base of your spine. That one's like, it's supposed to be red, and it kind of ties you to your ancestral past, your roots. Then it goes to your sacral chakra, which is where creation comes from, sexuality, and that's like red because it's like a passionate. You know?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then going up, you go into your solar plexus, which is orange, and that's your sense of self, that the gut feelings that you have.
Your intuition.
Your intuition, like who you are really in your gut, you know?
Yeah.
And then yellow is your heart chakra. Actually, no, it's I may have messed this up. I think it's yellow for the chakra. I mean, the solar plexus, my bad. It's green for the heart chakra, which is about love and everything. And a lot of people would think that it'd be pink or something.
Green is an interesting color for that. Usually that's envy, right?
Yeah.
Envy.
Yeah. But it also is like the color of nature. And, you know, I'm being like a nature freak myself. I would associate green with being like, you know, Earth and Mother Earth, and that loving.
We're both wearing green right now.
We are both wearing green.
We did not plan this.
No coincidences. But yeah, then you go up to your heart. I mean, your throat chakra. That's how you communicate yourself. And then it
What
goes.
color is that?
That one's blue.
Blue.
Yeah.
You know what? I was literally thinking that one's probably blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really wonder too why that one would be blue. Out of all the
I don't know why,
colors.
but that was my instinct, was that that's probably blue.
Yeah.
Because I've listened to like binaural beats and shit that literally say like, oh, this does for this chakra. I'm like, I don't care. I just like care about the binaural beat and like just knowing that's going to get me into kind of like that meditative state. But like I've seen images where it's like there's a green, red, and like a dot and like some dude like folding his legs and in the meditation position.
Yeah, with his chakras lit.
With his chakras all lit. Yeah, like literally all lit up. It's lit.
Yeah. But and then it goes up. The third eye is purple, and that's of course the pineal gland, our third eye. That it goes really deep.
Oh yeah.
And then the top is your crown chakra, which is white, and that's source energy. That's supposed to be
like your halo.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nice. All right. I understand it. Yeah.
And if these are completely open, you are in your complete, authentic, divine nature. So just as God intended you, or what is source, the universe, whatever you believe, but as you intended, that's when all of them are not blocked and all these other things. And they actually associate, and there's been studies that I've read where sometimes having a blocked chakra can also cause like physical ailments, like to yourself, to your health.
Well, it's similar to like if your mind, just aside from the chakras, literally, if your mind is in a certain place, then you can either heal or hurt your body, depending on how you're feeling about yourself. Yeah. So it makes sense that it's kind of all controlled, right? Yeah.
Which is why I like to like also express the colors and stuff in my art, but also try to like heal others. You know, if they can see that, if they can sense or feel that, you know, because I feel art's not just visual, you know, there's a feeling behind it. It's supposed to make you feel some type of way. And my intention a lot of times is to put that like, all right, this is for the shoulder plexus. Anybody that sees this is going to get like an unconscious unblocking of their solar plexus and let that radiate or
open them up. I mean, ideally any good piece of art is going to do that, right? It's going to tap into something that makes them feel an intense feeling of whatever you're going for. And sometimes even what you're going for is not what they end up feeling, right? They look at your piece of art that was maybe made out of sadness and they find happiness in it. And it's, you know,
one's perspective, or what is it? Perception is their reality.
Yep. You know, perception, perspective, you know, you name it, but that does alter how you perceive things and how you go through life. And Michael talked about that on the podcast, and I thought it was kind of interesting, where it's like, it's not like, oh, well, because I believe it's true. It's like, no, it's not like that. It's just more of like, oh, well, if you believe a certain thing, then you're going to perceive situations to be like that, because that's like that's your filter that you're filtering everything through. It's your little bias that you put on. But it's super interesting. So how did you get into spirituality? Like, what was your first introduction to that whole world?
Probably growing up Catholic. I grew up, you know, culturally Mexican. We are really strong in Catholicism. So I, you know, growing up, I had like my grandmother who would always pray over me, have the candles lit. You know, I don't consider myself a religion now, but culturally I still go. Like with my mom, you know, she wants me to go light candles with her at the church, or
for support.
And then, you know, I think there's still intention behind prayer everything too, you know. So
you're still tapping into something larger than yourself. It's just, you know, sometimes the dogma of it is that's what gets me, is I'm like, these rules seem ridiculous, but I understand what you're trying to say about the larger picture. And
it's about the bigger picture. It is about the bigger picture.
It's not about the little details in the book of, oh, well, this line says you can't do this, and like it's like somebody wrote that though.
And really, I read a really good quote, and I'm totally gonna sabotage it, but it's something along the lines of like, when you follow religion, you're following someone else's spiritual journey. When you follow spirituality, just general spirituality, you're following your own divine journey. You know, which is, I think it's important. And I think it's important to hear other people's stories and what they go through, because you can certainly still learn from it. But the best learning is experiencing, you know. And so you 100%. Ultimately have to experience your own spiritual, you know, experiences. You got to go through
some shit.
You really do. And I would say I had in high school, I had my grandmother who kind of like was really strong. Like, she was very spiritual, very religious. She passed away, and I feel like she had came to me after she passed away like several times, either in dreams or I would see things, and it really kind of mind tripped me because I was like, wait, you know, like
you're like, I know she's not here anymore.
Yeah, like she's dead. Like it just completely mind boggled me. So from there, I would say starting in high school, I went on my own little spiritual kind of search for like what's real, what's not. I've been to Buddhist temples. I've studied the Quran, the Torah is a lot of the Old Testament. I really went deep and just finding, and it wasn't until I looked inside of myself that I actually started getting answers, you know, like
look
everything
at that.
made
Shout
me
out
feel,
to Brad.
Yeah, right.
He was saying that on the last podcast.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. You know, and that's when everything started making sense. And then that's when I started realizing like our mind is everything. And like really we can manifest anything we want, you know? And
ask and you shall receive. I mean, honestly.
And that's in the Bible too, isn't it?
Right.
Like, you know?
It is, but it's just like it loses so much of the initial impact that was probably designed when it was first made. It's just been lost over so many years of translations and language barriers, and it's like how much of it is still there, even though there is some message that was initially created behind it that fueled that source.
And so it went from like you know, going to churches and hearing other people's prayers to getting into meditation. And that's why I liked your other sessions too, because a lot of people talk about meditation a lot.
I do, I shamelessly talk about it all the time, which is kind of funny.
It's so like, I feel like it's needed and so many levels for everyone. I even like seeing how some schools are implementing meditation to their kids, because it really brought a sense of self to me and a calm. Like I'm just not reactionary anymore. Ever since I've really started meditating, like there can be chaos going on around me. I was actually, I don't know if you remember the Vegas shooting that happened. I was actually there.
Oh shit, really?
I stood on the same floor as the guy, and he checked in the night before me, so he was there that whole weekend, and I was at that festival the night before, you know.
Damn.
Yeah.
So when he was firing off, were you in your room?
No. So here's the weird part. That whole day, you know, you're in Vegas and you just want to go out, you want to do everything, you know.
I mean,
I was all about, I was at Mandalay Bay at that, you know, and they have like the coolest like pool and everything. To me, I love Mandalay Bay, but that day, for some reason, I didn't want to leave the hotel room. I felt sick. I told my mom, I was like, I don't know. I was out there with my mom. And I was like, I don't know. For some reason, I don't even want to go out to eat. Let's just get room service. And that's not like me at all. I'm like a super outgoing person. If I can be outside, I'll be outside.
Then you want to do it,
you know? But for some reason that day, I just did not want to leave. And so she actually convinced me maybe like 2 hours before everything went down. She's like, let's just go out to eat. Let's get dressed and go out to eat, whatever. So we went to Caesar's Palace and we ate. And it was cool. It was on our way back, walking down the strip, is when we started seeing a lot of people running at us, and cops and the police were like telling everyone to take cover.
You're like, what's going on?
They cleared the whole Vegas Strip within 2 minutes.
That's actually really impressive.
It actually was.
Yeah, that's super impressive.
I don't think they got as much applause as they should have, because they were really great. But I mean, it was scary though, you know, like there's a lot of tourists from all over the world there, and they were being told it was a terrorist attack. And that's what their microphones were saying at the time.
I mean, isn't it though?
Yeah, it is.
Just because a white guy did it doesn't mean
mean
it's not a terrorist attack.
Right.
Yeah.
And then there was all these things you could hear on their microphones, like multiple shooters, and there's in pursuit, and there was all this stuff, and it was chaos. There's people crying, you know, it was real sad. Some people were saying like, man, hundreds of people are shot. Like, you know, people were running, you know, we had to run and take cover. And then even in Caesar's Palace, we had to leave that because there was a bomb threat. Like there was so much more that went down on that strip.
Man.
But one of the things that I kind of like applaud myself for is how calm I was.
You were the whole time.
I was so cool, calm, and collected. Like, I mean, given the whole situation.
Yeah, you knew like, okay, well, all right, where's the next place that we can go for safety? And like you were thinking like, okay, survival mode. Yeah. Like, what can I do to get myself to safety and get out of here?
And even afterwards, we were put on lockdown. Like we couldn't go back to our hotel. Obviously, that whole floor was
completely
locked
under
down.
Investigation and
So we ended up staying at Bally's, and everybody was on lockdown. We couldn't leave our hotel rooms until someone told us on the intercom, like at 4:00 in the morning the next day. It was real scary, you know, and at that, no one wanted to go on the Strip because it was like, whoa, what if something else goes on, or, you know, everything. But I don't know, I just had such a deep sense of peace and calm, not peace in that, you know, with everything, but just protected within my own self. That I was like, you know what, I'm going to take my camera and I'm going to go out. My mom couldn't stop me. She knows she can't stop me when these kind of things.
When you have it on your mind, it's like, no, sorry,
I'm
Mom
out here. But
that's how I feel with this podcast too. Sorry, Mom. I know you don't, I know you don't like when I talk about psychedelics, but
sorry, Grandma.
Gotta do what I gotta do, you know.
Right. But yeah, so I went out, and even the police officers then, like, they were generally asking, like, hey, are you okay? Were you safe last night? You know, everything. Yeah. And I went as far as I could, all the way to Mandalay Bay, and I saw like the blood on the floor and just the chaos, that whole area, and everything. And that kind of dove me even deeper into my spirituality, because I was already on one. I was already like, you know,
you're already on the frequency.
I was already on the frequency, but then that happens. I'm like, what are the odds of me being on the same floor, girl from Chicago at that, being on the same floor as this guy the whole time? He had his view was that of the actual resort and of the route. I forget what the country music festival it is, but so he could have really blasted off on either side that whole weekend. And I was on either side that whole weekend, you know, and it really just makes you think. I went back in January after that, like kind of a solo journey to the memorial. And even that, like just seeing a lot of people that their lives were taken were our age. Yep. They were so young, you know, like 20s,
just going
30s.
To have fun at a concert.
Right.
That's the most
in
fucked
Vegas,
up
you know, and country music at that. Like, it's like the least violent probably genre.
It's just like beer and jeans and trucks.
Right. Trucks and love songs. But yeah,
dirt,
you know.
Road.
Right. You wouldn't expect things like that to happen there, which is crazy. But that dove me in even deeper. So ever since this whole year and going back to that, like it really illuminated in my art, because then I really went in, and then I did that art show where I met you, which is magnified, like we were saying, no coincidence in that,
right?
But everything has magnified since then, and I'm just on this mind frame of like, you know what, if I was not supposed to be here, I would have been one of those people, but I am supposed to be here, and I have a purpose.
You still have some time,
and you know, anything could happen at any time. It takes, you know, puts you in that perspective where I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna live the life that I want to live. I'm gonna be a freelance full-time artist, which I'm a full-time photographer now, and I'm just gonna keep bringing and manifesting cool things like this podcast. You know?
Right.
But yeah, and now
pleasant surprise.
Right. But yeah, now that like everything's working for me, it's like I want to spread it. I want to share it to everyone.
Yeah, you know? And that's how religion started.
Yeah, right.
It's the exact thing.
So don't follow me. Follow yourself, people.
Exactly. No, and I'm the same way. Like, so when I first got into psychedelics, that's how it was with all my friends. I was like, yo, dude, you guys got to do these. I'm like, this shit changed my fucking life. Like, you have to get on this. And so I've been, ever since then, like, for people who, I'm pretty good at knowing who's ready for psychedelics. I feel like I know like the type of mind frame you need to be in. And so when I find people in my life that I'm like, I think you'd benefit from a trip, you know, then I kind of give them that. And, you know, ideally, I try to show them the way a little bit. But it's your own journey. And that's the thing. And like, something that I think I need to do better is probably not skewing them so much towards like what it did for me, and more of like, hey, this might be useful to you. Let it be whatever it's going to be for you. Because I don't want to set expectations on people. And then it's like, didn't live up to that expectation for that one trip. And it's like, well, sorry. I mean, it didn't happen overnight for me either, but
right. You know. Well, what's cool with psychedelics too is that everyone has their own trip, because it really is what's going on in your own head. Like everyone, I mean, like last time I did shrooms a couple weeks ago with a friend, and I haven't done it since college, and I was saying that I wanted to do it just as like the level of consciousness that I'm in now. I really want to,
like, let me see if I can raise this a little bit.
I want to meditate and while I'm doing it, and I want to be with nature, and because I, you know, just when you're on shrooms, like nature is just
nature's the shit.
Yes. It's just I'm one with nature. Like, it just feels beautiful. So I had my, you know who to do it with.
Yep. Yeah,
my friend who's
a trip with a person like completely changes it. Like depending on who you trip with, it's like, yo, this person's gonna give me this vibe if I trip with them, and this person, I have like several people that I'm like, I love tripping with them, but all for their own specific angles that they give.
Exactly. But yeah, and when I did it, it was interesting to see my friend have a complete, like, other visions than I did, and other feelings. I mean, there was times where we were on the same, like there's one point we went outside to her yard, and at the same time, and not planned at all, we fell to our knees. Yeah. Like, and it seems, if you've never done shrooms, you probably think that this is crazy, but we felt our knees in just like in awe and like gratitude and like, wow, like,
like how amazing is this fucking planet and this universe? Yeah. And oh my God, this whole life and everything.
Like there was this huge tree in her yard, and it was like, oh my God, like I wanted to honor the tree.
Yes. I've had that.
Yeah.
That's where the tree hugger thing comes in, right?
Yeah, that's what it is. It feels so good to hug a tree.
It does. It does. Admittedly, it feels good.
It does.
You look like a lunatic, but it feels good.
And that's also connected to your root chakra, by the way, since they're so deeply rooted, and it has that connection with us.
Well, so and like on shrooms, you feel the energy of plants in a way that you normally don't. And they're always giving off this energy, but it's like, it would be useless to have humans always in that state because you just wouldn't get anything done. So there's a reason why we have a sober state. But in that state, you are tapping into some sort of energy field that you normally don't tap into and you normally don't interface with. And it's always there influencing you whether you know it or not. So it's like this unconscious layer that peels itself back when you're on these, because I like to think of it as like you're tuning your radio to a different station. So this station's been broadcasting the whole time, but you're just like tuning
it's
your
like you're
own.
blocking it out.
Yeah, exactly. You block it out with your day to day, like, oh, I gotta go to the grocery store and look, whatever your bullshit is for the day to day. Yeah, exactly. And you tap into this like thing that's kind of this underlying frequency that's always being emitted everywhere throughout the universe at any given time and any point in space time. And you tap into it and you like remind yourself, oh shit, that's right, I'm part of this larger picture. I forgot.
It's all about the bigger picture. That's something that really is emphasized to me. And again, I say more than anything, I am an advocate of marijuana and shrooms. I don't want to do like often, just because they say that you build the tolerance to it. If you do it,
no,
you don't.
No,
maybe I won't do it again.
I do. I do it pretty well. So I don't like trip super often. But I microdose quite a bit with them, and they're interesting. I think acid's a better microdose personally. Like in terms of if you want to like be creative and like fucking zone in for hours, like that's probably the better one. But mushrooms, like a little like 0.3 or something like that, like 0.3, 0.4. Go on a trip, like a walk
so
through
I had
woods.
this last time I did it was a little bit over an eighth, which is like that's a good amount for you to see things. And the next morning I realized I had like a mushroom cap left, and so I'm like, you know what, I'm by myself, I've never done it before, let me do this and really go into deep meditation. I can't say that I saw anything visually, but in meditation I went in so deep where I feel like I astral projected. And I don't know if you have talked about this, but I felt like my soul, like I can't even explain it. It's like I was floating in space in like another dimension where I was completely weightless.
I felt that too. I talk about it on the heroic dose episode with Joey, where like when I closed,
you did a lot, didn't you?
5 grams.
Wow.
Yeah, 5 grams.
Oh my God.
I ain't playing around.
Wow.
But no, it was like, so it was 5 grams. It wasn't darkness, unfortunately. It was kind of earlier in the day because I had to like go work. I had to work the next day. I don't know why I did that before a day.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, it was fine.
It wasn't that bad, yeah.
But when I closed my eyes, I definitely like went to a different place. Like I was in what I talk about in the podcast, like I was like in this like spaceship thing, and it's a spaceship because I'm a fucking science fiction nerd, and that's what my brain decided to manifest.
I'm such a star nerd, so
so it makes sense on like what type of visions I would see. But I certainly felt like I was in this ship, and the whole time I was like prepared. They were like preparing me for this launch. Like, all right, are you ready? Are you ready? The mushroom gods were like talking to me, like, are you ready? Are you ready? And then they were like, nah, you don't need this. And then they closed the fucking hatch to the spaceship that was supposed to go down. It was like a portal. It was like I saw it as like a flat disc that I could tell if I went in there, I was about to go into infinity.
Wow.
And they were like, nah. They closed the thing and then turned the lights off of the spaceship, and then the spaceship disappeared from my vision. Like I was like no longer in the spaceship anymore. And in that moment I was like, oh, I guess I didn't need that out of this experience. That's what the mushrooms are trying to tell me. It's like, dude, you don't need to go in infinity. You know what I mean? Like you want to because it's like a cool idea of like, you know, lose your sense of self completely and go into
meet an alien.
Right?
You always hear those stories of someone who did DMT or acid, and they're like, I met another being.
Yep.
You know,
it's like I selfishly want that because it's a cool story.
Right.
But like, is that really what I needed?
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It wasn't what I needed. And I still got a lot of what I needed out of that trip anyway, completely separate of that. So it was like, you get what you deserve on mushrooms. Acid's a little different because I feel like acid, you manifest the trip in whatever way you want. Like acid is like you're in control, whether you know it or not. Like sometimes you're not in control, but you should be in control. You're the one who's supposed to be driving the ship, but you're in the fucking back. Yeah. Like, and that can happen. But with mushrooms, you're never in control. Mushrooms are always like, yo, I'm gonna show you what you need to know. Because it's your subconscious mind that's talking to you.
It's always like when it first hits. Because for me, it took like, we were like, man, is it ever gonna? It took like an hour and a half for it to actually.
Did you not lemon tech?
What is that?
Ooh, I'm gonna teach you a little lesson here. So you can lemon tech or like drink with orange juice or whatever. But the citric acid actually activates the psilocybin into psilocin, I think is the chemical reaction, and basically it activates it faster, so you absorb it quicker. And so what people do is they like take a lemon and they like grind up the mushrooms to like being tiny little chunks, and then you soak it in the lemon juice for like 20 minutes maybe or something like that. And then you just eat it or you drink it or whatever, and that
might help it taste better because it tastes really bad.
It tastes awful.
It tastes so bad.
Dude, 5 grams. Eating 5 grams of mushrooms. I don't know how people eat more than that because I was so disgusted with eating them by the end of it. No. But what I do is I just drink orange juice with it. So like I'll put it in my mouth and then I put the OJ in my mouth and then I chew it with the OJ still in my mouth so that it's like grinding it up a little bit more finely, and then the citric acid is activating it. That way you absorb it faster, you have a more intense peak of the trip, but it's a shorter duration overall because you're using it faster, right? Than if you let it do the slow burn. So yeah.
Noted.
Yeah. Noted. So if you want it to like hit you in like 30 minutes, like eat it. Eat it with
we took a while. And because it took so long, totally did not take 30 minutes. I remember we ate like a little bit more, and then we're all like, we were gonna text like the person we got it from, like, what the fuck, man? Yeah. Like, we can Yelp review this. But then it was like out of nowhere, like, wait, hold on.
Oh fuck.
Right. Like my friend actually had hit her first, so she was like, wait, that handle, it's moving, right? And I'm looking, I'm like, no, it's not moving. I'm like, I don't. And then I almost was getting mad, like, wait, how come you're seeing stuff and I'm not seeing stuff? Then like 5 minutes later, I'm staring at this painting this picture she had of a tree, and the tree was moving. And
you're like, okay.
Oh yeah, I was like, I'm like, wait, that's not happening. That's not happening. It is happening. It is.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
And then it goes from there, and the whole.
And this was only your second psilocybin experience?
Third. But the other times they were like, I was so much younger.
Yeah, and you didn't have the same kind of wisdom that you did now.
And like stuff like that.
Yeah. How old were you when you first started?
I think 23.
Oh well, that's still.
I mean, it's not like young, like I was a teenager, but it was like.
Well, I mean, I started when I was 21. I'm only 24 now. So,
okay.
So
yeah. Old soul.
I do have a bit of an old soul. I've kind of always had an old soul. Now I feel old.
I'm like, way back in college.
No, you're not old. But I don't know. I've always been I've always been more of an old soul. I've never really loved the going out scene or like college rager. I'm just, I did that like my freshman year. Yeah. And then I got like burnt out from it. I was like, I don't really care about this that much. Yeah.
And honestly, even back then I was more just about like, give me a joint and I'm good.
I've always been a cannabis connoisseur.
Yeah. I've never been much of a drinker.
Yeah.
But back then is when I tried it. And it was cool though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I do remember. It was dope. Yeah. Yeah. I was by the lake and so this time around it was different. And I did it now this time around with someone who's also very spiritually awakened. Yeah. So bouncing conversation off of each other and thoughts and what we're seeing was just like illuminated, just kept building and building.
Yes.
And it was a beautiful experience. I've never had a bad trip. I've only saw cool things.
Be careful what you wish for.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean it also is where your mind is. Like, I feel like if I was in a bad state mentally, I wouldn't do it.
So I'm on the fence with that, because I think part of it is like, well, if you're in a bad state, yeah, you probably shouldn't do it because it will manifest a difficult trip. I don't like to think bad trip is the wrong way to look at it, because it's a bad or difficult trip because you probably fucking needed it. You probably need a kick in your ass.
That's true. Sometimes I've seen it. It really, things that you're trying to block out in your psyche.
You can't hide it from mushrooms.
Nope.
No, mushrooms will bring that
like,
right to the forefront.
Yeah. Like, we're going to bring this forth.
But I think it's a way to get out of it. So that's my thing, is like, I agree with the idea that set and setting is important and you want to have a good mindset going in, blah, blah, blah. But I think your life doesn't have to be fucking perfect to take mushrooms. Like, I feel like your life could be where you're like, my life sucks, but I know I want to make it better. That alone, then take mushrooms, and then you'll know what you want to do moving forward. And you'll see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel and whatnot.
Right.
But yeah, if you're in a bad state and you have a bad attitude about it and then you're not taking it seriously, then yeah, don't fucking do mushrooms.
Yeah, don't do it. Or don't do it with anyone else, because then you're going to mess up their trip.
Yeah, you'll fuck up their trip. Yeah, for sure.
Consider others as well.
Right? I've definitely had to babysit a little bit, a couple people, but people that I love and care about, and I didn't mind doing it. But it's just, that's not as fun as when you get to really enjoy it.
It does open up a portal.
It
and
does.
I know you mentioned portals. Actually, right now, I don't know if you're aware, there's something called the Lionsgate portal. So first of all, anything that has to do with like astrology and astronomy, this isn't even astrology. This is it's more astronomy, where right now the Orion's belt, do you know the three planet that, at the, I think, what is it, the Big Dipper? It's the tip of that one. At this time on August 8th every year, it aligns perfectly with the pyramids of Giza in Egypt.
Yeah, that's
so
dope.
they considered this time being a portal opening, because back then Egypt, no one really knows how they build the pyramids, but they did it in such a perfect way that it aligned perfectly under the Orion's belt. And they've obviously had to have done that for a reason.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure they were connected with the star. They didn't have light pollution.
Yeah.
So they were just seeing that. I can't even imagine, like, would you even know what to call them? Like, we know that they're stars now, and we know that it's hydrogen fusing with hydrogen into helium, and we know that,
right?
But like, they didn't know that. They're just looking up and they're like, "Oh my God, it's the gods!"
Yeah, and let it lead them, And so it's a big time energetically right now. They're saying that they call it the Lionsgate because it's during Leo season. It's in under the Leo constellation, and it's supposed to be a big time for manifesting. And that this is why they created the pyramids. And it's not just supposed to activate the pyramids in Egypt. It's supposed to activate the pyramids around the world. And this was put specifically at a time for manifestations for these cultures. And so I still think that it's something that can still be used now as like a big form of manifestation. Like, I don't know, maybe I can build pyramids one day. I mean, I don't know. I'm just like, the sky's the limit. Like right now it's just a strong time with manifesting and portals opening. And I really firmly believe that adds into the whole cosmic perspective of spirituality.
Yeah.
But since my shroom trip, my last one, it's like I feel like I opened up another portal in my brain where things have just been illuminated to me now. Like,
you literally created new pathways in the brain by eating mushrooms.
You do. You literally do.
Yeah, you literally, they're scientifically proven.
Yeah. But yeah, and so I feel like now I see like signs and synchronicities so much more, number patterns in a weird way, which is interesting. My friend, while we were like on our trip, actually I like to say it a journey more than a trip.
I call it both.
Yeah. Because like trip, like a lot of people think that that's like a drug trip and it's some whatever, but it's really
a journey.
It's a journey.
That's why, like, technically trip is also a good way to say it, but I agree with you that there is a bit of that connotation that it's like a trip is like, oh, it's just a little fun trip. It's like, no, this is more of a journey, and when you come back, you're different.
Yeah.
If you do it right. I mean, I don't know. You can definitely have trips where it's like you're not tapping in.
But my friend looked at me during our journey and she saw numbers like the Matrix going down my skin. She was like, there's just numbers. There's just so many numbers. And like every down, like covering your whole being. And I'm like looking at myself. I'm not seeing it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not seeing it, but she was seeing it, which was interesting. So it kind of opened up a whole other kind of research topic on numbers. And, sacred geometry. That's where I'm like, what is the word? Sacred geometry. And I've really been kind of looking into that ever since.
Incorporate that into your art.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
A little bit of sacred geometry.
Yeah. I have some things brewing up. Yeah, I do. Yeah. So yeah, I'm like trying to incorporate all of it. And I don't want people to think, because I know a lot of people look at me and like, I don't look like I'm the type of chick that smokes weed and like, does shrooms occasionally.
Same. I look like, oh, look at this nice white young gentleman.
Right.
He wouldn't break the law.
Right. So maybe it will, it'll open up some people. But a lot of people don't, look at it that way. But really, if you look at me as an artist, I really do try to incorporate all of the above. It's not just vision. It's not just something that looks pretty. It's really something that comes from the deepest depths of my being, even
there's a difference. You feel that.
Yeah,
you feel it. There's a reason why I reached out to you, because I was like I know this is gonna be a good podcast if I have you on. So
yes. And then just listening to your other ones, I'm like, man, I almost want to talk to who is his name? Michael.
Yeah,
I want to talk to him.
Yeah, Michael's dope. I was talking to him earlier today. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I started following him on Instagram after that, because he's an artist too in his own right. And
and he does some crazy shit with like watercolor and ink. And, he's a talented dude and a very interesting mind. And it's interesting to see how like the car accident, like that was a fucking huge moment for his life.
But isn't it interesting that it kind of takes like a big life moment to get people spiritual?
Yeah.
Or to go within. Because if you look at anybody or talk to anybody who's now really woke, as they say. Woke.
Stay woke.
Yep. Hashtag. But if you talk to anybody, it's like they've gone into a real dark place at some point, or a life-threatening position that really just shifted their whole belief system. And
I think you need to.
Yeah.
I think you need to. And that's where like psychedelics are so good at taking you out of that. You're used to your normal bubble, and like psychedelics are like, okay, well, we're going to go way the fuck over here and now reassess your little stupid bubble. And it makes you realize how stupid your bubble is. And you're like, oh, that shit doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
But you can still forget it. So it's like, I trip. I do psychedelics. I'm always meditating, doing all this other stuff. And I still get lost in the bullshit of my day-to-day life and like all my 9 to 5 and this customer pissed me off or, whatever. It's like that shit shouldn't matter. And when I'm in my best version of myself, when my chakras are open, then I don't care about those things. But, we're still human beings.
We are.
We fall into our loops.
And I think we're meant to have these feelings. Like we're put here in this, in this vessel for a reason, and it's so that we can feel all the feels.
Yep.
And
we have to live that duality.
Yeah.
Of the infinite and the finite.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And I feel like a lot of people forget that in the spiritual groups, because a lot of people they reach like this enlightenment and then they stay there and they forget that they're still here living a human experience.
Yeah, you got to be able to integrate.
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent of integration. So it's like with psychedelics, like if you don't bring this shit back in your day-to-day life, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, it really is mind, body, and soul is what we're supposed to like. The whole, we're supposed to culminate all together. It's not supposed to be one more than the other, It's like, how can I?
They're not separate.
Right. It's not. It's that triangle, which is, coincidentally like a pyramid, which is coincidentally being activated right now by the Orion's belt. And so when everybody kind of realizes that everything is connected, you look at the bigger picture and it kind of gets you, or at least it helps me get me out of my own head of what's going on here, or like say I'm like heartbroken or I'm dealing with friend stuff and I kind of have to snap myself out of it. I'm like, hold on, let me look at the bigger picture here. Because it always is.
There's always something, and that's something that Michael talked about on the podcast, which I really liked, was like the mango tree. The idea of like if you looked at just a patch of dirt that mango tree was initially planted in, you'd have no idea that the thing was going to become a tree unless you saw it at some stage in it growing. And then at that point, it's already been putting in so much work to get above the soil that it's like, you have to remember that you could be the guy or the girl underneath the soil still, and that you just haven't come out of the soil. But once you come out of the soil, then it's accelerated, you know, then the sun is feeding you directly, and you're just able to just shoot up,
bloom,
become the tree.
Yep. Which, speaking of greenery, I have an urban garden. Shout out to the Peterson Garden Project, by the way. They
okay. We'll put a link in there.
Yeah, they put garden beds all over the city, and you can rent them. So me and my friend went and we rented one, and we started growing all our own herbs, and we have everything. And after my whole experience that I went through, and I've been more spiritual, I've been really drawn to being vegetarian. So I do mostly a vegetarian diet. I do fish every now and then, but I stopped eating meat, and I found that also enhanced my art and my spirituality. And it's like growing something out of love and then eating it, and then knowing that like these veggies, they're not like, you know, animals, they die, and it's like their emotions, and they releasing fear hormones and everything. But vegetables, it's not like that. It just from a
they
seed,
do send signals though, right?
Grows. They do.
Yeah,
they do send signals.
Like if you're cutting grass, for example, they send the signal to nearby grass to be like, "Yo, dude, we're getting chopped down.
Yeah.
Prepare."
Prepare.
You can't do anything about it because I mean you're a plant. You're not moving. But
I actually saw like this scientific thing where when they plucked the rose, it screamed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, but that's what I'm saying. No one's innocent. Even vegetarians are not innocent. You're still slaughtering these plants.
But it feels better.
It does feel a little bit better. Yeah.
It does.
I think Joey would have some interesting things to say to you because he eats almost like 90% meat.
Oh man.
He's not like a full. He's keto, so it's like he eats a lot of meat and a lot of fats. And he does eat vegetables too, but it's just so
I did a whole 30 diet last year, at the end of last year, where I ate nothing but meat, veggies, and fruit. Literally nothing else. No sugars, like literally nothing else. And I felt good. I have to say, I felt good.
I mean, cutting out the sugar, I think alone is probably its own thing. No matter what else you're eating with it, it's like just cutting out the sugar is probably, you're going to feel better after.
Yeah. Did you know that sugar is more addictive than cocaine?
I believe it because I'm addicted to it.
Yeah.
I believe it because I'm super in. Yeah. I'm going to the grocery store later today, and I'm specifically making sure I do not buy anything sugar related because I need to break this addiction.
It's an addiction. I had withdrawals when I stopped eating sugar for the whole 30 diet. You have to stop doing it for 30 days. No sugar, not even anything sweet like honey.
Fruit though.
Fruit, yes, but like natural.
It's fibers, though. It's different than just pure sugar. Yeah,
and I swear, within like a week or two in, I was just like a mega bitch, and I was just irritable, and
I'm worried about that.
I had,
I'm worried about being a huge asshole because I'm in customer service, so like I gotta be, I gotta be nice to people in a time where they're already frantic.
Phone.
Yeah, so that's where things get a little tricky. Where I'm like, man, if I quit sugar, I better hope I don't take it out on anybody.
That would suck. I think I did. I took it out on some people.
Yeah. I mean.
But it's an addiction. It just goes to show, though. And not like I can't go back to eating sugar the same anymore.
No, you can't.
I can't.
And your gut biome now is different. You know, it's used to being fed by other things. So, but I still have the sugar monster in there. So it's like I got to kick that shit first. I've been putting it off for a while. But I've been knowing that I needed to kick it for a long time.
And you know, honestly, when it comes to diet, I feel like there's no right way and there's no wrong way. It's really what works for yourself.
Yeah, for your body, because your body's different.
Yeah, you know, we all have different chemical makeups, and some people can thrive from eating meat and still be able to meditate and everything, and some people find it better. No, so when people like, there's a lot of like vegetarian clique. It's almost like a cult.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of like a cult.
Yeah,
veganism's kind of like a cult.
I posted,
too.
I had like a fish. I don't even know. I put like a little bit of tuna and a cracker with some of my veggies from my garden, and it was like, what?
You betrayed me.
You're not a vegetarian anymore.
You're a pescatarian.
It's like, damn, I got in trouble. Like,
what a fraud.
I just really like it.
I like really thought that she was like so woke and vegetarian, but it turns out she's not.
Right. It is.
It's funny how that is. Well, it's the tribal mentality. Like Joe Rogan talks about all the time in his podcast. It's like people just like being on part of a tribe. It's like
true.
Being like, yo, we're team righteous. Yeah. Like social justice warriors. And it's like no, social justice is important, but the way you're going about it is literally going against what you're trying to accomplish.
Right.
And you're becoming the villain that you're pretending to be against.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an excuse to be an asshole.
Right.
That's what people are using it for.
Yeah. Because you can't make peace with war.
No, you can't. Yeah, the whole point is like point out hypocrisy, because that's easy. That's easy to do. Like you don't have to become the villain to just point out, hey, that guy's being a dick. It's like it's pretty easy. So I say just shine a light on it and let other people be like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Yeah. Same with diet, same with spirituality.
Yeah.
That's instead of like religion where you're like, don't do this,
do this. Yeah.
Instead just be like, hey, check out these teachings, see what they teach you, and look within yourself.
Yep.
That's what I think. And it's like that with everything, like, with the political stuff, with your dietary stuff. It's just like, make your own decision, like really go within yourself, because really everything that we need, we already know what we need.
Exactly. That's what Brad and Michael were talking about in the last podcast. His brother Michael, other Michael, confuse the fucking listeners. But yeah, so that's something that I fuck with a lot. Is just like follow your heart, follow what's in your soul, and you will find the answers that you need. Yeah. Anything you're looking for, and silence is like one of the most necessary parts of that, because you're not going to do that when you're constantly fueling your brain with other shit, other stimuli that's distracting you.
Actually, I saw another quote. Shout out to internet memes, because they're everything. It's listen and silent are spelled with the same letters.
I never thought about it like that.
Either. But I was like, wow, that's
pretty
true.
Clever. Yeah.
And so that's what I think meditation is compared to praying. Praying, you're talking to God, you're asking, you're, talking. But in meditation, you're listening. You're
just taking it in.
You're just taking it in. And that's something I've always, as a photographer, because I do all types of photography. I always felt like the observer, like this hidden observer. I'm like a professional observer at that. Yeah. But that kind of laid way to also being able to be silent and being able to listen and observe, and not always trying to be preachy or anything like that.
Yeah, totally. And that's something that I like worry about with this podcast, is I'm like, I don't want people just listen. Like, don't just like listen to me. Take what's useful, but that's it. Like, I don't know anything. So,
right. We're still learning.
Yeah, I'm learning too. But if I have some wisdom to share, I want to share it.
For sure. Because obviously we have some things working for ourselves. And
yeah. I mean, I'm on the path. I'm doing what I need to do.
I'm out here clearing chakras.
Right.
Energy points. And if you don't want to look at it as the spiritual aspect of it, it literally is. There's scientific energy points in our bodies. We are made up of nerve endings, and we emit electricity. And there's main energy points in our body that I think we all need to nurture. And whether you want to call them energy points or chakras
or whatever,
that's all I'm saying.
Call it what you call it. Yeah. Like God, the universe, source, whatever you want to fucking call it. Yeah, the source, the divine energy. Yeah, call it whatever you want, man. But there's something. There's something there.
There is.
I don't subscribe to the idea of a man in the sky, but I do subscribe to the idea of this force that has created everything, like this thing that has made planets and stars, and I don't know what it is.
I think, and also remembering that we're not just alive, but literally everything we're on is live. Like the Earth is a living, breathing entity. Yeah, definitely. That also needs taking care of. My belief is that the Earth created us to protect it. Because if you think, like we're even growing with the intelligence where we can create like machines that block asteroids. Yeah. Because look what happened to the dinosaurs. That was an Earth-threatening event.
And Earth learned from that.
Right.
It was like fuck.
We got to get someone smarter up in here.
Let's get some mammals in here. Let's get a little more hair.
Yeah, let's get some hair. Let's give them a little bit of a brain and see what they do with that. Unfortunately, humans, we're given free will and we fuck up the Earth.
I know.
In a lot of ways. But at the same time, there's a lot of people who are trying to protect it.
I think we can reverse what we've done, but it literally takes a global conscious effort. We need to be on some higher level shit, because this current version of human beings is not going to do it.
Right.
Like, I don't think we're capable at all of doing the problem, of fixing the problem that we've created with our current level of consciousness that the average person inhibits. But I know that we can collectively raise this consciousness much faster than we ever thought we could because of the internet and because of these things like psychedelics. I think these technologies, they're all just technologies. And these technologies, if we use them correctly, can, I think, reverse what we've done. And I think we can do it within the time frame we need to, even though it seems like a huge problem now. It's like, how many things seemed impossible until we did them? So I think this is another one of those things, but we need this collective effort of everyone getting together and really starting to wake the fuck up.
Right. It's just, what is it going to take to wake us all up?
Well,
they already put Trump in office. Like,
well, so
how much more?
My view on the Trump thing is that we put Trump in office because the establishment rigged the whole thing to be, hey, Hillary's going to win. We want Hillary. This is what we... And so it's like, well, when somebody shoves somebody down your throat, especially somebody like her, where it's like, she's just corrupt business as usual. Yeah. She's not any worse than any other politician. I think people give her a little bit too much shit. Like, I don't like her. But she is. I
think she was the lesser evil by lesser decimals.
Evil by not much. Yeah, not much, to be fair. But she still was technically the lesser evil. But it's like, we were so tired of the lesser evil that all the people that were like, fuck the lesser evil, they just didn't vote. It's not like the majority of people wanted Trump. Yeah. It was like this small percentage of people who actually wanted to voted for Trump. And most other people literally sat at home. Because they're like, this election doesn't matter.
It's true.
Yeah.
I know a ton of people that didn't vote.
Exactly. And so, I mean, I voted, but I mean, I threw away my vote because I didn't vote for either one of them. But it's just, to me, I'm like, I think that the larger picture is that this election was a wake-up call for the establishment of that, hey, you guys can't keep doing this, because eventually we are just going to straight up revolt. And I don't want to see a violent revolution. I want to see us to just take back the country for ourselves, so that the people actually who can make a real change in their community get in power, not just, who's...
I think that's what it takes ultimately, is the community starting really, starting within our circles, starting within ourselves first, because you can't change if you can't change the world if you haven't changed yourself.
That's shout out to Joey Badass. Can't change the world unless we change ourselves.
Shout out to Joey Badass. I love him. I met him at South by Southwest once year, and I knew him. It was weird because we were like backstage, and I was like, wow, that guy looks really familiar. So I went up to him and I was like, hey, do I know you from somewhere? Are you from Chicago? And he's like, I'm not, but my name's Joseph.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool, And then he started like ciphering with his crew.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
That's got to be fun to watch.
And I was like, that's Joey Badass.
Joey Badass.
I love that guy. He's woke.
He's on Mr. Robot. Yeah, that All-American Badass. That was the name of the album, because American Idol is one of his most woke songs for sure on that album. He was dope. I was supposed to see him with Logic at Northerly Island. Okay. And this motherfucker stared at the eclipse, so he couldn't perform. No. He literally...
oh my God.
And the thing is, initially I thought it was just a meme, but like, I think that actually was the reason why he couldn't perform.
Oh no.
Which I'm like, you fucking idiot. Because I wanted to see him. I was like looking forward to, like, I bought the tickets for Logic because I'm a big Logic fan. And I was like, oh, cool, Joey Badass is the other guy. Like, hell yeah, I love Joey Badass too. And I really like that latest album. And then this motherfucker didn't go. And then Joey went to go see Joey Badass. He did like a concert recently, maybe it was like a couple months ago or something like that. And he just like spontaneously was invited, like they just had an extra ticket or something. And then he took so long, like he was so late to performing that Joey left before he even played.
Wow.
Like, because he was like, oh, whatever, man, I'm not going to wait around forever for him. So right now, Joey's got a little bit of a vendetta against him. Because he's blown us off twice now.
Yeah.
But I like Joey Badass a lot, and like his character on Mr. Robot is pretty dope. I haven't seen the latest season. I'm so behind. I need to watch that. But
speaking of eclipses, circling back, did you know we're in eclipse season right now?
No.
Yeah, we're in eclipse season once a year. I think about twice a year. I'm not an astronomer, people. I have interest in it.
Yeah.
But there's a set of 3 eclipses. So the first one we had this season was mid-July. Last one was a few weeks ago, which was the full moon blood eclipse. They always have like these crazy
the blood moon,
right? It was like the most potent full moon of the century or something, but it was also an eclipse. And now there's going to be one more actually on Friday. It's going to be a new moon eclipse.
No way, on Friday?
Yeah,
that's so dope.
Yeah.
See, that's the shitty part about being in Chicago, though. It's like
you can't really
you get
see
clouds,
it.
man. Yeah, it like prevents you from really seeing it.
You can't, but you can feel it though.
You can feel it.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are in a transitional space right now, and sometimes they'll be like, "Man, I'm cutting off this," or I'm just everything's changing in my life, and like the inner part of me is like, "Cause it's eclipse season." Like, you're being eclipsed. It's all good.
It's all good. It's a normal phase.
Even within myself, I'm like, I have to remember, like, oh wait, yeah, there's a lot going on energetically in our galaxy right now, so it makes sense. As people do, like, kind of forget that we are the same makeup of what makes the stars in the universe.
We're stardust.
We're stardust.
As Neil deGrasse Tyson likes to say.
Right. Yeah. I love that guy.
I know. That's where I got the idea of the name, The Cosmic Perspective. Because he
awesome.
fucking talks about it all the time. And I was like, I like that.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up and I was like, no one's using it. I mean, there's a book, I think, called The Cosmic Perspective, but I'm like, no one else is using this. I think it's fair for me to use it. So
yeah, I like it. I totally have a cosmic perspective.
Same. And I've always been into space. Like, so when I was a kid, I was really into dinosaurs. But then I learned about space I was in Gifted. I'm such a nerd, but I was in this Gifted program, and like part of it was like we literally learned about space in maybe like third grade or something like that, and that got me really into space. And so then from there,
well, yeah, because then you have to think, how did the dinosaurs go extinct? It's like, wait, a rock came out of the sky and annihilated everything.
Oh, I knew all that stuff when I first got into dinosaurs. I was, I think, just like a little bit under 2. And like I knew so much shit. Like I could have been on. I joke about this all the time. I'm like, I could have been on Ellen as like one of those kids.
Those little kid prodigies.
Yeah, one of those kids who just like I just knew so much shit about dinosaurs to the point where people were like, "How does this kid know to say Pachycephalosaurus?" Like
I can't say that now as an adult.
So like as a child, I was always like into just like that whole aspect of history of the planet and everything, and then I got into space, and so I've always had a cosmic perspective, and I think that's part of where me having an old soul, and then psychedelics only just like
enhance
further
it.
Just open that up, because I mean I really think psychedelics make you realize who you are.
I think so too. And you think why they were used in all these old Native American cultures. It was for a reason. It wasn't just to get high. It wasn't just for some.
No, it was usually not for that. It was usually for like this is your rite of passage.
Yeah. You're about to learn you some.
Yeah.
Go on a journey.
Right.
And within yourself.
That's what I do think, and I know Joe Rogan's talking about this before, is like, I think we are missing that, is that you don't have that trial anymore of like that thing that like to become a man or to become a woman. Like you don't have that thing of like, you got to go through this shit.
It's true.
And psychedelics, I think, would be the perfect way.
Rite of passage.
To give you that rite of passage and to give you the perspective that you need to go into the next phase of your life. I think they're amazing for transitions. I haven't talked about this on the podcast, but I did a trip right before I moved here. So at the time, to give you a little context of the situation, like I just had quit my job. Like I was still like employed until I literally the day that I moved. But I had already like taken all my days off, and so I'd quit my job. I was ready to start my new life here in Chicago. And so I came here. I stayed with my uncle for like several months. And so he let me kind of like get into the city without having to like pay a ton of rent and like try to figure out some random roommate to live with. And so I took this trip like knowing like, all right, let's leave this version of Kevin behind. Let's leave, because I was not in a good place. I mean, I was like, I hated my life. I was like, I graduated from school and then I sat in a room all day, and like I would work from home. So I never left my house.
Wow.
And like I'm a outspoken person, so like I like being out by people. I'm not somebody who wants to be sitting in a room all day.
That's something that's hard about Florida too. You kind of catch yourself being indoors in air conditioning a lot.
Yes, cool, 'cause it's hot as shit. Yeah. And so I was just in not a good place, and so I did that trip, and man, like I cried for like probably a good like 30 minutes or
Wow.
so. But it was like the most cathartic cry of like, thank God, like I'm finally leaving this prison. Even though it's not, it was my parents' house. Like, it's fine. It was like a fine house, whatever.
They cook for you every day.
Yeah, but I cook quite a bit. But it felt like a prison to me, right? And it felt like I had no escape, and I felt like I wasn't achieving my purpose. And I knew that too. That's the thing. I was on the frequency. I was still tripping and shit. I knew that I was supposed to be doing something more with my life. And man, after that trip, I was so ready to move here. I came here, and for the next few months, like, I finished my pilot for my show, and like, it was just like I was just on that energy. And eventually, the honeymoon phase wears out.
Winter in Chicago happens.
Well, that too. But also, I had to like get a job.
Yeah.
So at a certain point, I was like, all right, being unemployed was fun. Doing Second City was fun. Doing all the improv stuff. But I need to like actually get a job. So then I got a job at a bar. Kind of transitioned me to then getting this place. And then since getting this place and like building the studio here and like getting this whole thing going, that's been its own challenge.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, now I'm fucking fully in the city. I got a better job now that I'm back with the Big Apple.
Isn't it amazing how much things open up when you start following your purpose? Like you were saying, like you're divine. I feel like we all have a divine purpose out here.
We do.
And when you tap into that, it's like...
It rewards you.
It's like floodgates. Yeah. Yep. It's like...
And it will keep giving you hints. Like, you're on... Yep. Keep going.
Like, keep going.
Here's another carrot.
Right. And you're like, yay.
You're
yay.
Like, yes.
Yeah. And you keep doing it. And then that's it. And this, I can only see it growing and getting into a better kind of thing, because we are spreading, you're spreading a great word, a great perspective, a great cosmic perspective.
I'm trying.
Every time I say cosmic perspective, I think of that Family Guy episode where he name drops, like, he loves when Peter Griffin, he likes seeing movies where they drop the title of the movie, and he does this like little excited thing every time that happens. So it's like every time I say the cosmic perspective, I feel like Peter Griffin. I get
The cosmic perspective.
Yes.
Holy freaking crap.
Oh my God, that was me, by the way. That was
Yeah.
But anywho, so much things happen when you follow your divine purpose. And
for sure. And you know it too. Like, you know it too, because it's when you feel your best.
Yeah.
I mean, and life is ups and downs. So even when you're following your purpose, you'll still hit a low, but you'll still know that, like, this is fucking part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the not as fun part of the journey, but this is still part of it.
Because it's the yin and yang, you gotta know dark and you gotta know light. It's that balance.
Yep.
You
gotta be able to tap into your darkness.
You do.
Your darkness has a lot of power too.
It really does.
I've
made some of my best art in my darkest times, my saddest times. And I don't know. Like,
I don't think it's a requirement. I think you can make some of your best art in your good moments too.
For sure.
But I think to find a way to take your darkest moments and then to repurpose it for something like that, that's the key.
It's the power of manifestation.
Manifest your destiny.
Manifest it. Yeah.
Right. Well, I think that we've been at it for about an hour, so I think that's a pretty good spot to stop it at. But I really enjoyed it, Angela.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on.
Good talk.
Yeah. All right. See you guys later. And once again, IG
at Angie Star Photo.
All right, guys. Go ahead and follow her. Check out her art and buy some shit. Do you have a website that people can buy?
I do. AngieStarStudios.com.
There you go. AngieStarStudios.com. Buy her shit. It's super dope. Get the metal prints.
Artsy, metal
it's totally
prints.
worth it.
Get some chakra healing out of it.
Yep. Open your third eye with her shit.
Yes.
All right, cool.
Well, thank you.
All right. See you guys. Bye. Hey everybody, thanks for listening to the podcast. If you want to see any more content or anything else that I make, check me out at CosmicKev94 on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.